Welcome to Ask Ikenna. In this episode of Ask Ikenna, I'm going to be answering the question, how do you improve your pronunciation in a foreign language? So from the start of my YouTube channel, I have gotten this question so many times. Now I'm not sure if it's because people think I have a very good accent in the languages that I speak, because I'm not really happy with my accents. I still want to get them better, but they're not horrible. Or if it's because just people really can't seem to grasp the concept of pronunciation. But I feel you. I feel for you. It is intuitive for some, and it is very not intuitive for others. And for me, I've always naturally been good at accents, emulating like British accents and Russian accents and whatnot. So for me, accents in a foreign language never came too hard for me, but actually the fact that I was kind of good at accents led to another mistake, which I'm going to go into. So anyways, how do you improve your pronunciation? The first thing you gotta do is you gotta give yourself a good starting place. It is much easier to start the correct way and start with decent pronunciation and then to go on and gradually improve it than it is to start with very bad pronunciation and have that solidify and have that turn into concrete and be very hard to change later on. So the first thing that you want to do from the beginning, if you're just starting off learning a language, is to use an audio program that uses native audio to teach you. So this is a big deal. People who generally kind of neglect learning from audio from native speakers end up with a pronunciation that is either A, quite robotic, because let's say they've only used programs like Duolingo or similar programs where they use a computer voice, or sound very influenced by your native language. So for example, if you speak English, this is the people who go out there and try to speak Spanish like ¿Cómo estás? Me llamo, right? Because lately they started with a textbook and they left it to their own devices as to how to pronounce things, and their intuition was incorrect. What has always worked for me is using a program called Pimsleur, which I know a lot of you guys have already heard me talk about, but really if you want to get pronunciation down, it is the program to go to, because it doesn't focus on, it focuses a little bit on grammar, it focuses a little bit on other things, but it mainly focuses on pronunciation. And actually in Pimsleur they do something very cool where when they introduce a new word, they really break down the individual sounds of each word. So for example, if they're introducing the Japanese word onegaishimasu, they will break it down from the end first. They will say masu, masu, shimasu, shimasu, onegaishimasu, onegaishimasu. Now breaking it down like this is very helpful for the beginner, because it doesn't sound like one big long and then you kind of have to use your intuition to fill in the blanks sound wise. It really breaks it down step by step so you kind of get used to the sounds of whatever language that you're studying. So I would highly recommend Pimsleur. If you do want to check it out, you can use the link in the description for a free trial. I actually met a guy recently at a polyglot kind of meetup business thing called Idausenes, and he focuses on pronunciation exclusively. He is a master at pronunciation in various different languages and teaching pronunciation. And from what I've seen, Pimsleur is also one of his go-to programs, just because in the beginning there's almost no better way to get sounds, individual sounds of words, than to use Pimsleur. So it is a very good starting point. And if you've seen my previous videos, I've actually partnered up with them, and I was the one to actually approach them just because I'm very passionate about the program and I've used it literally for every single language that I've taught myself. So moving on, the second thing that you need to do is to avoid stereotyping. Now, what does this mean? So this is what I meant when I said, you know, I was kind of good at accents naturally as a kid, so I tried to use what I thought a stereotypical Russian accent or a French accent is in order to help me speak French or help me speak Russian. This is a no-go. So I'll give you an example. When I used to speak Russian, or when I used to speak English with a Russian accent, I'd go, "Hello guys, my name is Vadim, but you know my mom calls me Vladusha, and I love," like some kind of FPS Russia incarnation, if you've ever seen that YouTuber. I've used that accent before. So when I did start speaking Russian, instead of speaking normally like "Здравствуйте, меня зовут Ikenna," I let the fake Russian accent really take over my Russian, and it was very over the top. It was "Ну здравствуйте, меня зовут Ikenna." I'm sure maybe there are some Russian people that speak like that, but it's not standard, it's not ideal. Same thing in French. You use a normal French accent like hello, I am from France, or then you try to apply that to French and you end up sounding too over the top, too just not natural. I've actually got yelled at by Brenda a few times just because my French was too comment ça va, oui, but too much. So my advice to you is to really go easy. Don't speak another language like how you expect them to speak, but really just speak it how you speak English in a way. Whereas when you speak English, you're not, hello, my name is, no, you're like, hi, yeah, my name is, relax on the emphasis, relax on trying to play up to a stereotype. So the third thing that you can do is twofold. One, you can either have an Italki lesson or a lesson or even just like a call with a pen pal or someone who speaks the language natively, ideally like an Italki tutor. So what does a pronunciation lesson entail? Well, basically what you want to do is you want to, it depends on your level, but let's say if you're around the intermediate level, you want to go to a website where it's in your target language. Let's say just like a really basic news website or even like Reddit, but in the language that you're trying to learn, and just go through some posts, go through some news, and read something together with your tutor. You can either A, have him read it first, or B, you can read it first, but what you want to do is eventually you want to read this paragraph or read a few sentences to him and have him or her correct you based on whether your pronunciation is correct. Reading sentences while having a tutor like correct you on the spot is one of the best ways that I've personally improved my pronunciation. However, if you don't want to do this, or let's say, you know, you're learning a language like Chinese or Japanese, where it's much too time consuming to learn all the characters that make up even a single paragraph, what you can do with your tutor is to come up with a paragraph that really introduces who you are, what you do, where you're from, everything, right? You come up with this paragraph, maybe it's like 10 sentences long, and it really just contains a lot of useful information about you, which is one, very useful if you ever want to use this type of paragraph or pieces of this paragraph in real life, but two, you want to go over this paragraph religiously with your tutor to the point where your pronunciation is perfect when you're reading this paragraph. Because the thing is, if you have a large enough paragraph, then every single or nearly every single sound that makes up whatever language that you are studying is probably going to be somewhere in this paragraph. Meaning if you can perfect all of the sounds that can be found in this paragraph, is likely going to carry over to when you're actually speaking the language, because you know what sounds exist and you know what sounds don't exist. The last tip that I have, which is probably pretty obvious but just very, very useful, is just getting a lot of input. You are not going to improve your pronunciation, one, if you're not speaking, but two, especially if you're not constantly listening to how the language is actually spoken. Meaning, watch a lot of TV shows, watch a lot of YouTubers, watch a lot of movies, listen to podcasts, listen to the language being spoken by native speakers as frequently as possible, and this will really help up your pronunciation, because eventually you're going to notice that, I'm not really saying this right because I keep on hearing them saying it like this. Oh, this is not correct because they actually say it like this. It's one of the most important things to do, and it's extremely hard to improve your pronunciation without a lot of input. So be sure you get your daily dose of input, and thank you so much for watching this video. Leave your questions down below. Let me know what you'd like me to answer for my next Ask Ikenna, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.